Hi everyone, I'm Candace the Shaman.
And I am Spirit Medium Jenn.
Here is a mini clip of our episode. If you would like to watch more, you can click on the link below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing videos from our podcast. I just think it's all beautiful. And without further ado, I think we just need to jump into this.
Yes, let's dive in.
And such a healing and empowering topic.
Yeah. Well, let's review a little bit. So in one of our prior episodes, we talked about shamanic cosmology and the cosmic tree of life. This is central to shamanic teachings, and the tree is found, the stories of the tree of life is as a worldwide story. There's something that we all connect to spiritually when it comes to the tree of life. So it's not just the shamanic teachings that talk about it, the Christian faith, the Nordic faith, a lot of the pagan traditions. It's just all over the world. And I think even the Hindu, Jewish mysticism, it's just everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere. So when we work with our shamanic work, we always journey into the lower world of this tree of life. And the tree of life represents the lower, the middle, and the upper. The lower being the roots of the tree, the parts that go into the ground or into the world of Sophia Gaia. The trunk of the tree is the middle world. And then the upper tree are the branches that stretch out and are kissed by the sun's rays, is what they will say. So when we journey the lower world, this is the part of the tree where we explore the subconscious, where we connect with our inner child and our inner wounding and trauma, where we reclaim those parts of ourselves that we may have pushed away because of trauma, or we may have pushed away because we were told that's what we need to do. So the journeys that you experience in the lower world are extremely healing, empowering, and life-changing. And it's not a scary place. You know, a lot of people, they're like, oh, the lower world, that sounds so scary.
That was my first thought when I started with you. You're like, we're going to explore the lower world. And I was like it made me nervous. I started getting anxiety because you think of that being something dark and dreaded, but also it is the subconscious, and it's a lot of childhood. You know, there's a section in which we go and we work with our inner child. We do soul retrievals. We do so many amazing things that are in such a deep way that's so changing. So I almost think it's fitting that it's like the lower world can be like this hesitation, only because sometimes it's vulnerable for even us to want to go into that space within. But it isn't bad or wrong. Going back into our previous podcast, we talked about we're more than this physical journey, and us feeling bad and wrong and sinful and heavy is very much so this physical context. And so when we can remember, okay, my spirit is so much more, this is an opportunity for learning. It doesn't have to define me or make me bad and wrong. That's when the whole lower world opens up into this beautiful space of creation versus this heavy blockage of energy.
Yes. And you remember, like, when we were exploring this, we spend the first couple of months really exploring the middle world and getting to know yourself as a multidimensional being, and meeting your animal allies and your spirit guides, and really knowing who is supporting you on the other side of the veil, getting comfortable with that, getting comfortable with journeying into different dimensions of reality, which again reaffirms and reminds you of your magnificence, the fact that you're not just a physical body, and that you're not just your emotions or the things that have happened to you, all those things. I think it's really important to get strong there first, you know, before we really dive into the lower world, because like you were saying, a lot of people are intimidated by that. They're like, gosh, that sounds so scary and overwhelming. I don't know if I want to do a shadow work or inner child work or do a soul retrieval. It just sounds so intense and so awful.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get prepared and you come back into remembrance of who you are first, when you start exploring who is there for you on the other side, and you recognize how loved you are and how supported you are from spirit, that again helps you relax. And then when you actually do go into the lower world, it's so different from that. It's not a place at all that's scary. In fact, we should talk about our personal experiences. Like, what did you see? And I think this is important because it actually is quite the opposite, right, Jen? It's actually a very magical, beautiful place.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but you on one of our calls, when you were talking about the lower world, you're like, okay, we're going to do this lower world. And it didn't work out for whatever reason during our call for us to actually do that journey. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it on my own. But it was like, I didn't really want you to be there with me because I was worried about what was going to happen. And it manifested where it didn't work out. And every time we tried to do that together, it just didn't work out. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't even know if you probably didn't even realize that was happening, but that's what was going on in my space. And so finally, and this was when we were exploring our inner child. And so when I went and did this, it was very much so like I needed it to be my personal thing because I was so worried about what I was going to experience. And so you showed me, like, we walked into the tree, or you like showed me how you would go down into the lower world. And I remember going into my meadow, walking over to my tree, and I just placed my hand on the tree trunk. And it was like, all of a sudden, it was almost like this keypad where it was like, it opened up this door, but it was only my handprint, only my spirit's essence that could open up the door. So no one else was allowed into that space unless I invited them in. So I started walking down it was like a spiraling staircase going into like, it was like off on the left. I could walk off and it was like this hallway, but the staircase kept going. So I went off of the staircase to the left, and I was just walking, and it was like all of this. It's so interesting. I'm like being drawn there right now, but it was like the ground was really soft. It was really cold. It was just like kind of like this wet dirt. And as I kept walking, I could see on the walls, it was like all these spirals, which every time I do a session, I write on my paper these specific things. And it was like I could see those on the walls as I was walking. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I walk into my space, and this isn't as common for people, I feel like, but the first time that I went in, it was a mini golf course. And my little girl, Jenny, was there holding this little pink rod and this pink ball, just like waiting for me to come and play freaking mini golf with her.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I hated mini golf when I was little. I just thought it was so boring, but it was so beautiful because we went and we played mini golf, and we looked at the fun things that were there on the mini golf course, but I could just get and be with her. And it didn't have to be one way, or it didn't have to be another. And I didn't even do any heavy shadow work with her. I just played mini golf. And at the end, I gave her a big hug and I said, I just loved you. This was so much fun to spend time with you. And she was like, please come back. And so then when I went back the next time, I opened up the door, and I was in this such a magical forest. And when I was little, I used to talk to fairies. Fairies were my jam. They were everywhere. So I walked in, and it was like these bright, vibrant neon colors. These flowers were like these bright colors that you've never even seen here.
Yes.
And there were like these little fairies flying all around, and all these different things. And it was like a very fun and a very imaginative space, but it felt like I was home. It felt like this is what I experienced as a child. And my little girl was there, and she's like, hi. And she wanted me to go with her. And we went into this little river. We played in this river, And it was just very playful and it was very fun. And I said, hey, is there anything you want to talk to me about? And I just remember her busting into tears and was like, I just feel like no one loves me. Like no one cares about me. And so then I sat with her and we explored that and we talked about that. But that's this lesson or this thought that I carry with me a lot is if people don't love me, if people don't accept me, they don't love me. And if I'm not loved, then what's my worth? And of course we know with all that we do and even coming out and talking about all these different things that we're learning in shamanism and this multidimensional self is it's very vulnerable.
Yes.
And it can be easy to fall into that space of if someone hears this and they don't accept it, they don't accept me, and then I'm not loved. Yeah. And so I could sit with her and be with her and cultivate that. And it was just so beautiful. And it wasn't heavy, it wasn't dark, but it was very healing in a way that was very joyful and childlike and fun. It was beautiful.
And you notice that not only was it not scary, it was beautiful.
It's almost comical that I was like, I don't even want Candace in my energy to go there.
Right. But it makes sense though, considering what she told you.
Yeah, that's true.
Considering what she told you. And so I just think that it's such a beautiful experience because it really reconnects you back into your purity, your innocence. And the lower world, I tell you, Jen, again and again and again, every single person I've talked to, they describe the lower world the same. It's like everything is big. The forest is like tropical.
It's huge. And you're just like this little tiny
and it's like
thing.
you're little. Yeah. And the leaves, the blades of grass, everything is really big.
You know, like when you are, have you ever watched Avatar?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like at night and it's like that blue vibrant color.
Lower world looks a lot like the Avatar.
Yes, very similar to that.
So true. Yeah. And the elementals are in this realm. And this is where you get to connect with the fairy realm, where you get to connect with all of the different elements that we don't see. And even though you connect with your animal allies in the middle realm, the animal allies can also meet you in the lower realm as well. And so a lot of times you'll see animals there or connect with animals. You'll connect also in the lower world, you can connect with Pachamama. And this is what the Incans call Mother Earth or Sophia Gaia. It's her spirit. And a lot of people engage with her spirit with ayahuasca. And they'll describe that sometimes she'll show up as a big snake, which sounds scary, but I've connected in with that energy in the lower world without any ayahuasca. And she has given me so much wisdom and insight from her perspective in this space. So there's tremendous healing and awareness that you can gather. But guess how old I was in that space when I met with her? I was like 5 years old. I showed up and manifested as a little girl. And I think that that when we reconnect in with our true essence, even though we're so powerful as multidimensional beings and creators, we're made in the image of our creator, there is a core innocence and purity with truth and love. It's almost like when you connect with her, you reconnect into that purity and that power inside of you. And then when you face the shadows and the things that she's sad about, it's not scary at all. It's almost like it's so fulfilling because you finally feel so heard. There's this thing, it's like you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel held. It has this energy of love, and you find yourself wrapping your arms around, this little girl self and holding her and merging back with her energy. And it is soul fulfilling. You know how you're saying it's soul fulfilling? It's soul fulfilling.
Absolutely.
to go there. It's not scary. It's soul fulfilling.
Thank you for watching Modern Sages. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We are so grateful for your support. We have an Instagram account as well as on Facebook. We have our podcast, which is the Modern Sages podcast.
And we are so excited to launch our Gifts of Spirit classes in our Modern Sages Mystery School.
Absolutely. Oh, we're so excited. So we're going to link the information below in the show notes for more information about our mystery school.